Tonight we're going to talk about 12-step recovery. And there are people in the room, for those of you in Blogland, one of our wonderful members, Tony, first names only, won his 30-pound award tonight, and he gave me numero uno coat, so I put it right on, so thank you, Tony. Tonight we're talking about the 12-step recovery. And I wanted to do it from a Christian point of view because what most people don't realize is that Alcoholics Anonymous was based on the teaching of an Episcopal priest. All of its tenets are biblically founded. And this is interesting. If this doesn't sound like pray it off, there's informal home-like settings for meetings, highlighting the pleasures of spiritual fellowship. You can meet in your own church. It's talk about living a normal moral life, and it's talk about changing your life by passing through stages and then being positive about your changes rather than having it be an absence. Not like what Tony just said, not like, oh, poor me, I can't have cookies and chips, or how great is fruits and vegetables, how wonderful is fish, the positive. And that the policy is that the workers and founders should never be paid, with an emphasis on helping others in order to change one's own life. And I'm telling you, I am different on June 9th, which, by the way, today is the 20th anniversary of the day my 58-year-old father died. So Vincent Louis McCauley the first, I'll see you on the other side. So we need to change our own lives, and I am different today than I was 3.5 years ago in better ways than just the weight loss. We're all sinners, but we can all change. I love this. Confession is a prerequisite to change. Do I love confession? It is the most powerful one of our Catholic sacraments. The age of miracles has returned. Listen to that, Pat. A changed soul has direct access to God. You have to change. You have to unload this garbage so that you can fill yourself with the grace of God, so that you can fill yourself with the help that God wants to give you. If you're carrying around all the baggage and garbage, there's no room in there for what He wants to do. Then what we talk about is the different biblical findings to the steps. I'm not going to read all the steps right now, but it's like the first one's the most important one. We are powerless over alcohol, food, whatever it is, we're powerful. Gambling, shopping, whatever. We're powerless. The biblical finding is, I know that nothing good lives in me, that is in my sinful nature, for I have the desire to do what is good, but I cannot carry it out. Romans 7:18, we just did Romans tonight, everybody. It is the number one tenet, the biblical basis of all 12-step programs is Romans 7. My grace, this is what Jesus says to us, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Does He say to us, when you have all your ducks in a row, Ellen, give me a ring-a-ling? Does He say, Ellen, when you finally get to your goal weight, then you can start praying? He's saying, I love you weak and flawed and sinful, and I want you to come to me and I will help you. That is where the power is. Here's another thing. For it is God who works in you to will and act accordingly to His good purpose. If anyone would come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross daily. We need to take up our cross. What is our cross? I can go around the room. We all have our crosses. Some are bigger and heavier right about now. I actually think that on those days where we stop and think, how's my cross today? Wow, it's not too heavy at all. Thank you, Jesus. Do we ever thank Him when we have those days where we say, you know what? I'm okay today. My family's okay today. Stop and thank Him. The basic outlines of 12 steps is, I can't do it. God can do it. Help me, God. I'm sorry for everything I did, and I'm going to help other people. Boom. That's it. Can't do it. God can do it. I've been really bad. I'm sorry to everyone. And you know what's interesting? We think as having obesity or overweight as our problem, that we don't need to make amends to other people. Well, what did my being fat? What did I ever do to anybody being fat? But if you really stop and think about it, the first person we need to make amends to is ourselves. And I'm not talking you got those 10 lousy last pounds. People have struggled with obesity. They're 300, they're 350, they're this, they're that. You got to say to yourself, why don't I love you enough to take care of you? I'm sorry that I did that to you, to yourself. All right, now God, help me to love myself enough to take care of myself. Have you ever hurt your spouse because you were too tired or weak, or your kids because you couldn't get down on the floor and play with them or do things? One time my mother said to me, I'm sorry that keeping a clean house sometimes was more important to me than playing with you kids, because I can never get that time back. I wish I could have let the cupboards be a mess and just played more. And you know what? I never forgot that. I never forgot she said that to me. So when my kid said, Mom, come out in the pool, and I'm thinking, oh, I got all this stuff to do, I'm like, I'll be right there. Because that time, and we've seen it, those of us who are pushing 60 have seen our kids come and get older, and you can't get that time back. Okay, I just think you got to read these biblical verses. And then the last one, but watch yourself, or you may also be tempted. Carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. I feel that in this group, I bring up and we share at the small group and on a bigger level our burdens. How many times you got a problem, I come home, Bob, guess what happened, guess what this, guess what that? Half. My burden is halved because I give it to him, and he always takes my side, because if he didn't, we wouldn't be happily married. He's like, what? That happened? Are you kidding me? Who wants to be married to someone who goes, well, I think you were kind of wrong there. I think maybe you were like overreacting. No, we want someone to go, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And that's the kind of friend I am. You call me up, I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm on your side. Yes, we carry each other's burdens. You cannot, however, help someone who doesn't want to be helped. Remind you of anybody? Remember the story I told earlier. But you can pray for them. There are people in the group who think, I think everyone in the group, whether they're losing weight or not, wants to be helped because they're here. They're here. But do we want to be healed? Are we still relying on our human efforts to solve our problems? Have we put up barriers to God? Have we put up barriers to letting Him in? And people say to me, well, Ellen, how does that work? You say, God, help me lose weight. Little things like I'll say, Lord, I'm really addicted to too much bread, sandwiches, toast, this, that. Can you take away my desire to really, really want bread? Did it happen overnight? Pretty much it did, because I said to God, I'm not going to have bread for the first 6 months of praying. And now I almost never have bread. I really lost my taste for it, and I give God the credit for it. But I had to ask Him for my help, and then I had to do what? The footwork. I had to contribute. It's not magic. There's not this little God wand that says, you will no longer want chocolate kisses. You won't eat that donut. And we're like, what? God, how come you didn't take away me eating this donut? We have to say, no, thank you. Practice saying no, thank you. Do you want to be healed? The next article is the same thing, simpler. Talks about a birth of faith. It talks about acting as if we have the power. That's another good part about this. If you leave here tonight all pumped up, and then tomorrow you get to the office and there's breakfast pizza, and you're like, you can't even see anything but the breakfast pizza, and you start gnawing on it. What you have to do when you leave here is you say, I have the power through the fellowship of the meeting, through the grace of God, to make it through 1 week. And I'm going to say no to that breakfast pizza, because guess what? There will be other breakfast pizzas. There will be other donuts. There will be other everything. You can say no, and you will survive. We have to act as if we believe. Act as if we have the power. Here's another thing. We need to have reconciliation with our past and our present so that we can become a disciple who can witness with no hanging baggage. See, that's why we talk about in this group stress and anger and the problems we had in the past, because that's our baggage. A lot of us have current baggage that arrived via UPS or FedEx. Here comes your current baggage. But a lot of us have that old baggage with all those stickers on it. This is what somebody did to you in 1960, and this is the sticker from when you made a mistake in 1980. We need to take that old baggage and leave it at the airport, because they'll lose it. You know they will. They'll never be able to find it again. We need to get rid of the old baggage so that God can give us the strength to handle the daily barrage. That's what we need to do. The relationship with others is why Weight Watchers works. Some person I ran into over the weekend, and they said, oh, I heard you did the weight loss group, and I want to come, but I just want to come in and get weight and leave every week. And I said, oh, I can appreciate that. That sounds easy. But you know what? It doesn't work. It does not work. At Weight Watchers, there are people that come in every week because they think, oh, I'm going to pay my $13 and I'm going to weigh in. What works is the knowledge, the power, the commitment, the fellowship, the continuity of the meeting. And I truly believe that the relationships we build help us to lose weight. I'm going to stop there, Bobby.